Hello everyone, today my teammate and I will going to present the construction of the Governor's Bay Jetty. Now I introduce myself. My name is Chai Jing and my teammate Suchi, Shuming and Haziq.
A little bit of introduction of Governors Bay Jetty. Governor Bay Jetty is located at Governors Bay, which is a small town in Canterbury, New Zealand. So, jetties is a large man-made piles of boulders or concrete that are built on either side of a constant inlet. Jetties are a long, narrow structure that protects the coastline from the current tides. They stretch from the shore into the water, and they are also built to prevent river mouths and streams from meandering naturally. So, after the earthquake, a group of local volunteers had committed to the Governors Bay Restoration Trust, and the Christchurch City Council had agreed to sell the jetty to the group at $1. So, a little bit brief description about the Governors Bay Jetty. Governors Bay Jetty is a landmark for Governors Bay that had been last for almost 115 years. It was the second earliest jetty that built in Governors Bay. In 1874, an intention occurred, which is to run a steamer daily between the bay and the Littleton after the Governors Bay Jetty finished. So, the tenders for the construction of the jetty were being started, and the advertisement for sale the land that situated close to the jetty was being reported by the press. So, the construction of the jetty was complete at year 1877. The price for fare is $4 from Littleton and Governors Bay. So at 1910, the Littleton Harbour Board determined to close the upper wharf at Governors Bay as an economy measure. The residents of the Governors Bay against it, and they decided to sign the petition opposing closure. So this is because of compared to the lower jetty at the northeast end of the bay, that the Governors Bay was accessible by rope, which are more convenient for the visitors and so less expensive to commerce. In October 1912, the Harbour Improvement Committee recommended to extend the upper Governors Bay Jetty to enable launches can use to regardless of the state of the tide. In 1915 and 1927, due to sedimentation problem which caused steamer difficulty to access the upper harbour, so an extension carried out to combat harbour from silting. The extension in 1927 is a final extension of this jetty, and the length of the jetty was 230 meters. So in 1997, there were 20 new piles driven under the jetty. In May 1999, the cost that spent to bring it up to standard was $68,814. As the road access improved, more farmers and visitors choose to directly transport and drive over the hill. In February 2011, the Canterbury earthquake caused the Governors Bay Jetty being damaged and be closed to the public. In 2016, due to unsatisfied with the no action being carried out to repair for the jetty, the Governors Bay Jetty Restoration Trust has been established to repair the jetty. Christchurch City Council agreed with the plan and decided to settle the jetty to this trust with $1, and Governors Bay Jetty Restoration Trust will restore the jetty and sell back the jetty to the council for $1. So the cost for repairing Governors Bay Jetty, according to the engineer assessment, the cost for repairing the jetty is around 3.2 million. The trust has raised about 1.4 million, including 935,000 from the council, 165,000 in pro bono work, and 300,000 in donation and fundraising. A little bit of Governors Bay Jetty. The location of Governors Bay Jetty is located at 5 Jetty Road, Governors Bay, 8,971 New Zealand. The Governors Bay settlement is located on the Bank Peninsula around the Littleton Harbour. The Governors Bay is met with the Governors Bay Road to Littleton, to Dryers Pace Road, over the port hills to the Christchurch outskirts of Kashmir, and by the way of main road to the south side of the harbour basin and Bank Peninsula. So the structure of Governance Bay, the current design have been obtained and prepared by Elliott Sinclair. The design shows that the construction will build over the original short jetty. All the old piles and cross basing will be maintained, but the decking will be removed. When the original jetty is being built for around 20 meters, the remaining of the jetty will be built together or near to the old jetty. Hence, it can improve the construction efficiency since the time will be the biggest cost in marine construction. Besides that, the new pile will not clash with the old pile at the same time, provide the clear run for the construction. The old jetty can be used as a storage to keep the material during construction. Certain functions may be changed in order to reduce the cost as the procurement process progresses. For instance, the final platform may become smaller and the intermediate steps may be replaced by the ladder. The plan is to connect the pontoons at the end of the pontoons by ramps instead of steps. A ladder will be attached to the platform for jumpers to climb up. Some of the planned decorations have not shown in the drawings yet since they are not required in the design for building consent. The recovery construction for the Governance Bay jetty will reserve the original design of the jetty, which is open pile type jetty. Function is to protect ships from river or tidal currents and provide temporary mooring facilities. If the structure is strong, they can also be used as a big breakwaters.
Now I will present for the design consideration of marine structure. First, safety. The design of the marine structure should according to the appropriate and recorded in safety in design method in order to reduce and avoid the safety issue during the operation, maintenance, and also demolition of the marine structure. Second, working life of the marine structure. All the marine structures should be designed will consist of working life for about 100 years unless the designer stated that the working life for the structure in the design brief of the project. The components and materials that cannot be accessed that used in the structure should have also 100 years design life, which not maintenance needed. Therefore, they were not maintenance needed and the marine structure working life can last until expectation for 100 years. Besides, an import action is also one of the considerations that need to be considered when construct a marine structure. The design of the marine structure should follow with the loading requirement, which fulfill the standard of the country for that loading classification to specify the size of the marine structure and load that the structure can be afforded. Number 4, wing load. The marine structure will be constructed at the sea and will need to explore to the strong wind. The marine structure should have wing loading that achieve the minimum requirement of the standard to avoid and reduce the damages that caused by the wing load. Wave action. Collect, observe, and get the report of the wave action to know the maximum height and minimum height of the wave action in order to decide the height of the structure. The energy and force of the wave will also need to be known so that the marine structure can be designed to survive for the wave action and reduce the damage caused by the wave action. Next, earthquake action. Avoid constructed at the place that is exist for earthquake action. So the probability for the marine structure being damaged by the earthquake can be reduced. Quality of the construction material used. The poor quality of construction material used will affect the quality of the structure that being constructed. So the safety of the public will also be affected. Then the maintenance cost for repairing the structure will also increase. Therefore, the construction material used for construct a marine structure should be good. Environment impact. The marine structure should minimize the impact that brings to the environment, especially for the marine structure that used to exploitation for the marine oil gas resources. The way used to handle the disposal waste from the marine structure also need to be considered. Type of temporary marine structure. Type of temporary marine structure can be divided into two, which are coffin tanks and cushion. Coffin tank is a temporary structure used when construction takes placed in water-covered area. It is a structure that ready for handle extremely high pressure. There are many types of coffin tanks, such as coffin tanks for rock filling, single water coffin tanks, double water coffin tanks, triple coffin tanks, and circular coffin tanks. Kitchen. Kitchen is prefabricated tube or hollow frames that submerged to the appropriated depth underneath the sea, river, and other body of water. It is routed with concrete to form a sustainable base for the structure, which acts as an anchor. It is also made from materials such as wood, steel, stonework, and reinforced concrete. Type of landing structure divided into seawall, dock, wharf, jetty, and breakwater. Seawall. Seawall used to protect the local countryside and its resistance. Seawall prevent the destruction of crushing wave and minimize wave energy. There are two main types of seawall, which are vertical wall and rebred embankment. Some function except they are constructed in a dissimilar method, but in a particular case, one option might be more appropriate than another. Vertical seawall are relatively easy to install to shade the coastline and can reflect the wave energy. There are four general types of seawall, like steel seawall, rising seawalls, concrete seawalls, and composite seawalls. Dock. Is confined structure for readings of ships to sustain them floating at a constant level and allow loading and unloading for freight. It is built on the Tinder River port on estuary or an open ocean shore. There are various doors are needed for different types of spread. Two types of doors which are dry dock and wet dock. Wet dock is needed to bridge ships of vessels to allow the boarding and discharging of passengers. Dry docks designed for ship maintenance. Dry docks can be classified into five different categories, such as paving dock, dry dock, marine railway dock, ship lift dry docks, and slipway. Wharf. Wharf is a framework on a coast of being on the banks of the harbour of or a channels where vessels can unload containers or passengers. It includes several mooring sites and may also involve pure storage or other infrastructure required to accommodate the ship. The main kind of work is a story wharf on an open wharf. Its view drain near perpendicular to the coastline. The berth head and quarry wall are required to maintain the loading of the material of reef. It is guarded by pound may be built on the edge of the sea and a certain distance from the surface when the water near the ground is not too low and long draw boats can enter the structure without interruption. Jetty. Jetty is a long, small platform that shelters the shore from wave and winds. It's normally made from timber, soil, concrete, or stone. It is then guard the short life of a part of the ocean by functioning as a shield against the destruction of wind, wave, and currents. It set out at the riverbank interval where a boat channels must be narrower in order to focus the currents and thereby help enhance a free drains. Its entrances are built at port inner entry to lagoon-type harbours and at string entries. Jetties can be famous destinations for travelers. Breakwater. Breakwater is a construction designed for the function of creating an artificial port with a bay that is secluded from the impact of wave in order to provide fishing, boat between a secluded harbor. Dams built on the shore as the form of coastal protection or to safeguard wave from the impact of both the weather and long distance drill. Fans that fit the power of wave as in front of a harbor. Breakwater may be offshore, submerged, or linked to the land. Kind of breakwater include distracted breakwater, headland breakwater, nearshore breakwater, attached breakwater, immersed breakwater, submerged breakwater, and floating breakwater.
Now we will move on to the function of Governor's Bay Jetty before restoration. The function of Governor's Bay Jetty before restoration have three functions, which are import and export, delivering goods and products, delivering passengers from one location to another. And the function of Governor's Bay Jetty after restoration are mainly for culture and heritage, recreation such as wedding and tramping, boating, visitor services and tourism. And the last function is for the economic development, which it will generate jobs and income in the area. Now we will move on to the structure of Governor's Bay Jetty. The upper floor of the jetties relies on a cantilever structure in a situation where the wall above is supported by a horizontal beam and then extends forwards beyond the floor below. The jetty plate, however, is strengthened by the corner post, which the post is reinforced by the curved jetty bracket. During the process of restoration, a relatively new method will be applied, which is that the all piles and coarse brassing will be preserved and only remove the decking. There are four main kinds of the component of Governor's Bay Jetty, which are timber pile, brassable beam, brassing system, and decking and balustrade. Now we will move on to the construction process of timber pile. First, the vessel that equipped with heavy lift drainage were moving to the site, and the vessel were positioning at the timber pile position and will be jacked out in order to prevent the movement of the vessel during the piling process. And next, the piling template will be positioning and installed. After the piling template has been positioned, the timber pile will be transferred from the onshore storage to the offshore vessel. After that, the piles will be upending and stapling. The installation of piles will begin, and the pile will drill into the entire level, and the pile will be cleaning after drilling. After that, it will be carrying out three surveys of plan. And after the surveys, the piling template will be removed. After the piling template has been removed, the jet line will be extracted and the vessel will move into the next position. All of the steps will be repeated until all the piles have been installed. Now we will move on to the construction process of brassable beam, brassing system, decking, and balustrade. Installation of brassable beam. The set of the beam is measured according to the distance between two piles, and the beam is installed between the piles by using steel connector. After that, the beam needs to check regularly in order to make sure that they fit strongly into their joints. This process is repeated until all the beams is installed. After installing the brassable beam, it will come to the installation of brassing system. The timber brass will be installed between the beam by using steel connectors such as anchor, bolt, and nuts. The brassing should be evenly distributed, and maximum spacing of the brassing is important to the structural performance of the structure. The process is repeated until all the cross brassing are fully installed. After the brassing system, the process will be moving on to the installation of decking and balustrade. The center of the decking board is marked and the parting board is installed temporarily with a few decking screws. After the holes is being drilled, the decking board is then placed in its position and screwed into the joist using the decking screw. After all the decking is installed, remove the parting board and use a router to round over the ends of the decking that butt out to the parting boards. Heavy-duty hammer drill needs to be used to drill holes that would then allow the timber balustrade to fit in its position using sleeve anchors. The thickness of the hole should base on the size of the anchor, and the timber balustrade is then positioned accordingly and then tightened with anchor and bolt. The installation of the timber balustrade is included all the rail, posts, and tall kits in order to safeguard the public. Now we will enter to the material and equipment that used for the Governor's Bay Jetty construction. First type of material is timber. Eucalyptus globoidea hardwood is used for decking, balustrade framing, and structure beams, while mixed Australian hardwoods will be used for pile capping beams, stair timber including stringers, associated capping beams, stair and landing trees and piles. And the New Zealand radiata pine round timber will be used for the bracing construction. The cost for each type of timber is listed in the table. The second materials that have been used for the Governor's Bay Jetty construction is both nuts and washers. Both are a kind of fasteners that need to involve a nut and pre-tapped hole for it to be installed, and the plain washers will be inserted to spread the load and avoid the damage to the surface that being faced. For Governor Bay Jetty, the bolts and nuts are used to join the bracing and beam to the pile. The type of the bolt and nut used is plain bolt, plain nuts, and flat washers. The cost for the plain bolts and plain nuts and flat washers are 20 ringgit 40 cents per 5 set with the size M6 times 20. The next material that will be used is decking screw. Decking screw is a connector between the flooring of the deck and the deck joist. It is identical to the wood screw with their function and the strap, but it is more comprehensive drive styles such as the hex, toss, or spider enable the driver bit to connect wall with the drive, efficiently resulting in practically no strippings and resulting in a successful operation every time. And it is fertile when making the decision of which type of drive will be used. The equipment that used in the Governor Bay Jetty construction is combi drill. Combi drill, also known as hammer drill, is a cordless instrument that comes with the addition of a hammer mechanism, which is an essential drill driver. This flexible machine will drive screws and drill into most materials, whether with a normal rotary action or a hammer-assisted action. It is an ideal equipment for drilling into wood, metal, plastics, and ceramics. During the construction of Governor's Bay Jetty, the type of combi drill used was the 18-foot SR brushless combat lithium-ion combi drill. The next equipment is heavy-duty versa crane. The common crane versas were initially launched in the 14th century and have been used to carry and transfer around 2,500 tons. The ship crane that used is RHK series from Jena Solution. The maximum is 800 ton gross handling power and 120-meter operating radius. The Kimpos, shoveling pad, hammer machinery, space, controller cap, operating platforms, and hallway, etc., compose the key structure of the crane. The ship vessel will be connected with the impact hammer, which used to drive the timber pile. And the impact hammer comprises of a hydraulically or mechanically lift powerful hammer mass that is then released onto the top of the pile. The kinetic energy of the dropping hammer is transmitted to the pile at the fall, it enabling the pile to infiltrate the seabed. Next, I will talk about the labor in construction of the Governor Bay Jetty. Labor is individual who contribute effort of physical and mental in the economy to produce goods and services. There are three main types of labor, including an unskilled worker, semi-skilled worker, and skilled worker. The labor rate of the Governor Bay Jetty is not specified. However, the labor rate of construction industry in Malaysia is stated in the figure below.
Now I will explain about the construction planning and management during the construction of the Governor's Bay Jetty. First of all is the safety and health management. In order to reduce the serious accident occurs in the construction site, safety and health management need to be conducted in the project. The structure of the jetty has been designed according to the safety in design, which is known as SID, to provide the guideline for the structure to achieve the standard safety requirement in Australia. Site board of the project will also have set up at the entry of the site to provide the information for the project. The holding of the project will be set up to protect the public from injury and also protect the materials and equipment on site from dosing. The workers who work at the site need to comply with the safety and health requirement, which is to wear the personal protective equipment. Now I will talk about the personal protective equipment. The workers at the site need to comply themselves with the safety helmet, safety boots, safety glasses, safety glove, hand protection, long sleeve visibility shirt, and long trousers. However, the visitor who visit the site need to comply themselves with yellow safety helmet and closed shoe and orange vest. The work that needs special skills should need to be done by the workers who have the knowledge, experience, and skills about that works. The plants, equipment, and materials used for construct the structure also need to achieve the requirement standard of the government. The plants and equipment used in the project also need to be ensuring that are in good condition to prevent any accidents happening. Next is waste management. The purpose of waste management is to reduce the quantity of the waste that generated on the construction site. The waste that generated from the construction project will be recorded, such as the amount and the type of the waste, and the waste should not be left on the site. The liquid waste product from the construction work should be filtered or treatment first before release it back to the sea. The waste that generated can be reused, recycled, or disposal of either in or off-site. The waste that can be reused on-site need to be restored, and the place for the waste to be stored need to be decided in the plan. The waste that will be recycled or disposed off-site will be transferred out of the site in an approved manner, including recycling or disposal at an approved waste disposal facility. The transfer method and the person who in charge need to be stated in the plan. The destination for all the waste to be allocated need to be stated in the documents. The place for the storage of the waste reused on site can be easily accessed by the workers on site in order to store the waste that generated on site, and it should be maintained clean and tidy. The storage of the waste should be managed safely and should be limited from the public from entering it. Next is materials management. Material management is a critical role of building programs to increase production. It is vital to assure that the correct specification and quantities of resources and equipment are properly established in a reasonable time frame, purchased at a suitable rate, and accessible as necessary for the scheduling and controlling of the resources. It is identified as resource preparation, classification, acquisition, handling, reception, and delivery. The objective of material management is to ensure that the appropriate resources are in the appropriate position if possible and in correct quantity. There are 5 main problems in material management, which including the organizational structure, procurement, storage space, security, and the availability of the materials in the market. Now, I will talk about the human resource management. Human resource management is a process of planning, organizing, directing, controlling of procurement, development, compensation, integration, maintenance, and separation of human resource to the end that individual, organizational, and social objectives are achieved. Human resource management plays an important role in the construction project management process. Human resource management will lead to the achievement of the project objective, including attaining target dates, meeting financial plans, and monitoring the efficiency of the final project. An effective human resource management strategy could bring beneficial impact on the cost, schedule, and the quality at the project level. There are 3 main factors that is affecting the human resource management, which is physical factor, economic factor, and the organizational factor. In the physical factor, it is about site congestion. Site congestion is a common issue that used to happen at the construction site, where it is frequently caused the labor to unable to carry out their work in a comfortable manner and causing further delay in the construction work. However, in economic factor, the payment of wages to the labor should be done right after the construction site work is accomplished to ensure that the benefit of the labor always been protected. The next is the organizational factor. The organization should appoint sufficient workforce to carry out the construction work. This is because construction work is complex and sufficient workforce is important to ensure the quality of the work. Next, there are 5 basic functions of human resource management, which is planning, organizing, staffing, directing, and controlling. During the planning process, poor planning could result in failure in carrying out the task and bring negative impact to the organization. Hence, the planning of the human resource should be effective to ensure the quality of the work. Next, organizing. The human resource manager should organize everything in a proper manner in order to avoid dissatisfaction from the employees. Third one is the staffing. Staffing is the process of recruiting the right employees, providing proper training, and putting them in the right job by paying them appropriately and satisfactorily. Directing. Directing is a formal process that carried out by the employer to express what they want their employee to contribute to the organization. The human resource manager would clarify to the employee that they should getting their work done to meet the organization's goals and objectives. Last is controlling. The human resource manager should have the skills and knowledge to handle all the human resource matter. The human resource manager should control and control the human resource by establish a performance appraiser to measure the actual performance of the employees. Figure below shows the general organizational structure in the construction industry. In conclusion, construction is a complex industry that requires a lot of specific technique and knowledges. Through this assignment, we are able to understand the construction procedures of the governance-based jetty, including the design consideration, function of jetty, marine structure, component material of building a jetty, construction equipment required, as well as project planning management. In the nutshell, civil engineering construction is an important knowledge for us to develop our future career as a quantity surveyor. Thank you.